Try this again. Car Chronicles, Queen Status, Car Chronicles. Much love, much love. I'm going to try this one more time. Queen Status podcast. So I'm going to get started because I'm already late. Just going to be on here for a few minutes. We talked about self-worth a couple weeks ago, part 1. And so we had to pause last week because of Operation Apartment Fire. I had an apartment fire a couple Wednesdays ago, and it destroyed all of my things. But God is good. It is actually it will be an amazing testimony. And I will give that testimony once God is through loading it for me so that I can share with you guys. But I just want to talk a little bit for a few minutes about self-worth, part 2. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. And so I wanted to talk about it. I was out eating yesterday. I went out to get me something to eat, and I ran into some young ladies that said, "Hey, that's the lady that does the podcast." And I was so excited, and they were so excited, and we started having a conversation about some things as women. Hey, Chantel. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry I'm late with Queen Status tonight. I'm dealing with Operation Apartment Fire. As you guys know, like I said, my apartment caught on fire. And so I'm helping a friend do some things. So I'm in the car. So it's Queen Status Car Chronicles tonight. Self-Worth Car Chronicles Part 2. So, like I said, I was out getting something to eat yesterday. And I ran into some ladies that said, "Hey, that's the lady that does the podcast." And I was so excited to know that people are sharing the podcast and things like that. So we were talking about some things where women are concerned. Hey, Rhonda Coleman. Good to see you. So we were talking about self-worth, and we were talking about women and all the things that we go through and all the things that we've come from, but I just want to talk real quick because it's already 7:20, just about as women and our self-worth. We need to go back in our bloodlines. We need to see and think about what's going on in our bloodlines. Hey, Mrs. Harris. We need to pay attention to the things that have gone on in our bloodlines. Hey, Sandra. So that we can help our daughters, our nieces, our play daughters, or whoever, the younger women going forward. It says that in the Bible, the older women will teach the younger women. And, you know, when it talks about the older women will teach the younger women, nowadays, hey, Mom, young people want you to be authentic. They want you to be living what you're talking about, or they're not listening to you. And a part of helping our young ladies with their self-worth is, first of all, knowing what is in our bloodline, what was in our bloodline, so that we can denounce and renounce the things that are not good for us, the things that the enemy uses to come against us, that he has used on our relatives before us, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, our aunties before us. And if we know about that, then we know what to pray for. We know what to come against. And so self-worth starts at home, first of all. If you have a foundation at home, it is our responsibility as mothers to make sure that our daughters understand and know the value of their self-worth. And so it's nothing wrong with telling your daughter that she's a queen, that she's a jewel. Hey, Raquel, that she's a jewel, that she is to be respected, that she doesn't have to have validation from a man, or she doesn't even have to have validation from another woman. You know, and we need to understand and cultivate some of the things that we've already talked about when it comes to female relationships and things like that. So people understand that they don't have to dumb themselves down in order to fit in with people. And so we need to work a lot harder. I use hashtags all the time. Black families matter, and black families do matter. And because women are called to so many things, nurturing and organizing the home and things like that. And I'm not saying we got to go back to the old days, because I believe in getting out here, getting my real estate business and having a name for myself as well. However, the best name that I can have is being a good mother. Is being a good lead to my family, you know, and showing my family the way to go. And that has a lot to do with our self-worth. If you understand who you are in Christ, then you move in confidence. And I say that to say, I had a house fire a couple of weeks ago, and God has truly shown me his greatness and how special and amazing that I am. And it has elevated my confidence in God. Greater is he that is in me. And so that greatness, that confidence is even more magnified now going through that, because I had to use the faith of God. I can't lay down. I can't get under the table, because it's not going to help anything. They said it was a total loss. I lost a lot of things, but they're material things, and God can replace those things. And some of that, being able to move, I'm not brushing my shoulders off, but I'm brushing God's shoulders off, because allowing me to have so much comfort. I was never scared. Even watching that building burn down to the ground, I tell everybody, I'll tell the whole testimony when God is done loading it. But so far, I was able to say it was a consuming fire. The fire was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And who says the fire is beautiful when the building is on fire? But I say that to say there are some prayers that I prayed and some things that I spoke that God burnt the building down for me. I'm just saying, it might sound crazy, but he burnt the building down. And God has a way of doing things the way he wants them done, not the way we think that they should be done. And so with that, all I can do is go with it. All I know is that he's going to replace everything that I lost. He's going to give me double for my trouble. And that comes from knowing our worth. And a lot of times we think worth comes from how we look or what our job is. Our worth comes from who God says that we are. And that's what allows us to keep it moving and continue to stay victorious. And so as I consider myself an older woman, my daughter's 26, and her friends will call up a lot of times and ask a lot of questions. Well, as the older woman, I need to have some godly answers for them, because these streets are for real out here. These men don't play no games. They playing games with people's lives, and they're all about themselves. And if you allow your daughters to get caught up in her worth, thinking that her worth is in a man, or if her worth is in what another female says about her, I mean, she'll never get ahead. She'll never get it straightened out. But I put a post on Facebook the other day, no validation needed. And I mean it. No validation needed. I used to have a habit of dumbing myself down where people are concerned, so that people don't feel like you conceited or you're way more confident than you are. It is what it is. To whom much is given, much is required. And I will say confidently, I've been given much, so much is required. So I will never be dumbing myself down for anybody, and neither should you. I think I posted a video the other day that talked about greatness. You deserve the absolute best. You can't get the absolute best if you don't know your worth. If you don't know your value and you're on sale everywhere you go, you'll never be able to obtain your complete worth. So when it's all said and done, you deserve the very best of everything. You deserve the very best car. You deserve the very best relationship with God. You deserve the very best house, the very best husband, the very best kids, the very best business, the very best job, the very best. And the way that you get that, the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So you need to think the things that God says about you. And it levels up your worth. Like I said, the other week was really amazing for me. Pastor Cookie, who is a really good friend of mine, said that it reminded her of the 3 Hebrew boys. And when I thought about it, I went back and I read it. And, it was just talking about how the king was so mad that he had them turn that fire up. And like I said, when I tell this testimony, back maybe about almost a year ago now, I was diagnosed with cancer for the second time. And, at first I just did not understand what in the world is going on. I was diagnosed the first time at 43. And then almost 10 years to the date, I was diagnosed with cancer again, a different kind of cancer, but it was still almost 10 years to the date. And so I had questions. I'm like, hey, hold on. But I said to myself, what I did the first time worked, and that is believing in God. I spoke healing scriptures over my body, and I just moved like, hey, this is not going to defeat me. and I was victorious in that. And so I say that to say, each time you go through a trial, you move to different levels if you conquer that trial. You know, the Bible says, you know, to resist the devil and he will flee. You know, and so you just resist the tricks of the devil, and that builds self-worth. So in me going through this situation with the fire, and Pastor Cookie was talking about the 3 Hebrew boys and how they didn't get burnt. You know, we were talking about all the things that have went on within the last year, from this year, from today to last year in August, and how one thing after another has just been conquered. And once you get to conquering things, you allow God to go before you and do it. There's no way that you can't have what I call Godfidence. And that builds on your self-worth. You're speaking things that are not as though they are, and then watching them manifest. And so, you know, I don't want to be on here long because I got on here late to start off with. But where self-worth is concerned, you need to speak things over your life. You need to denounce the things that you know are not supposed to be in your life, and watch God move those things out of your way. And so you need to do that, not just for you. You need to do that for the young women who are watching you, because they are definitely watching you. Thank you, Rhonda. They are definitely watching, because they need to have somebody to watch, and they see, because the people of God are kind of a little bit quiet nowadays. I mean, they're watching the Meg Thee Stallions and the Beyoncés and the this. They got to have somebody to watch. They got to have somebody to watch. And so that's exactly what they're doing. They're watching what those ladies are doing. Those ladies, not judging them, beautiful ladies, but, you know, at some point have been kind of sort of misguided. You know, so if the girls don't have anybody else to watch, then it's us. You know, and if we're in a place where, you know, we're not relatable, we're always judgmental, because I'll be the first one to say, I'm not ashamed of my life. I'm not ashamed of what I done back there. The stuff I done back there made me the woman that I am today. And the things that I done back there definitely were not always right. I'm telling you, my daughter, I stayed with my daughter a couple days, and they're young. They go out. They were coming in as I was going to church. But I mean, all I can do is tell them the right thing, but I can't judge them, because there was a time that I was coming in when my mom was going to church, or I was leaving the club and going straight to the salon to go to work, you know. So don't let that be the reason. But at the same time, have enough self-worth to be able to speak into those young ladies' lives. So one day that seed that you planted, somebody else will come along and water it, and maybe they will be where we are. And then the women that are before us will be able to speak into us. And so I just say that to say, you know, I really appreciate having these conversations and being able to get on here and talk. Like I said, when I was out eating, the lady said, hey, you're the Queen Status podcast lady. And that made me so happy, not because, you know, that I have a name. She started talking about some things that we have talked about on here that really helped her in her life. And I appreciated hearing that. That lets me know, whether it be one person or 1,000 people, you know, to help somebody is amazing. And so we also had a conversation about our self-worth when it comes to men, and how we allow the thought process of a man to dictate who we are as women. I am a firm believer in femininity. I don't care what nobody say. As a woman, all things girl. I love nails and hair and lipstick and makeup and heels and all of that. I love it all. And that's why the picture that I want to portray, as celebrities, I love all things girl. And so I practice in my life balancing out the femininity versus the actual masculine boss that we all possess. But it plays a big part in your self-worth. And so where men are concerned, we've all got it twisted a lot in the roles that we play in relationships, whether they be friendships or marriages or whatever. However, you never let somebody else who breathes and bleeds the way you are dictate who you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. God made you the way that you are. And if somebody can't get with or deal with who you are as a person, That's a big red flag. You don't have to try to go around that. You don't have to dumb yourself down, you know, to accommodate somebody else. Jesus said he told the people about him, and then he shook the dust from his feet. He kept it moving. So if somebody's not rocking with who you are and they feel like that they need to make you over or you need to change yourself for them, then we already know that's not it. But a lot of times as ladies, you know, we try to overlook red flags. No, that's not what I'm doing. I don't want a man that bad. Now, hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying I don't want a man. I ain't never going to say that, because there are some women that say I don't need no man. Well, that's fine, and I respect that. But baby, yeah, I do. I would like one. Thank you very much. Please and thank you. However, I'm not going to dumb myself down. I know for a fact if I have to do that, that's a red flag. That's an attack on my character when you're trying to change who I am. Now, if you're trying to support me and you're trying to add to what I've got going on, that's a whole different story. And we need to make sure that we're listening and we understand leadership and submission. But if there is a man who's trying to change who you are as a person and goes against what your morals and values and all that stuff, he's not the one. And that's the red flag that you need to make a decision as to whether you're going to spend time with him or not, except for me, except for me, who I am, you know. So, you know, with that, in this day and age, I'm telling you, he's always shown himself strong, but he's really showing himself strong. And that's for the ones that are authentic to who they are. You know, that's what pleases God, for you to be authentic to who you are. And you don't want to be in a place where you're dumbing yourself down just so Roscoe or whoever he is happy. Because in the end, you're not going to be happy. And a lot of times God has way better for us, and we're settling for this and we doing that. We talking about I'm a ride or die. I'm not a ride or die chick. I will never, ever be that, bro. Because if some things come up, I'm old enough. I've learned in the past. You can learn a lot from a stunt dummy. That would be me. I've learned that, no, I'm not a ride or die. There are some things that just break us up. That's just, it just is what it is. I'm not wasting my life. I'm not saving my life. I'm not waiting on you to figure it out. I'm not waiting on you to get it together. Indirectly, subconsciously, that deals with your self-worth. Even if you're a strong person, if you're dealing with somebody, especially when you're my age, but even when you're older, if you're dealing with somebody who says, hey, you know, I really don't know what I want right now. I'm trying to figure it out. That means right now, that don't mean he don't like you. That just means right now is not your time. Move on and do something else. And we as women mess up our self-worth because, especially when we're single, we get out here in this dating game and we meet one guy and we think he's nice and he's this and he's that. And we settle for that one guy. No, dating is just that. You don't have to sleep with people, but you have to eat every day. If I'm single, I can go out to dinner every day with somebody different if I want to, because I'm single. I ain't got no ring on my finger. And so with that being said, dating is derived from the word data. You're gathering data from different people to see who it is that lines up with you. That is a connection with you. And so with that being said, if as women, we're not dating to find purpose and you're dating because of a type, yeah, no, that's not going to work. Because, you know, I can always tell you, you know, what I like, what my type might be. But what I need might be something totally different. And that depends. That helps build my self-worth. So it's really up to us as women to cultivate our own self-worth and to figure out our circles and who we allow in our circles to continue to build that self-worth. Because depending on who we allow in our circles depends on where your self-worth is going, period. You know, so choose wisely, choose for purpose. And if you're dating is supposed to be fun. So you don't have to just date one person. You know, you can go for Taco Tuesdays on Tuesdays and, you know, soul food on Wednesday with somebody else, with somebody different. That's what they do. And I'm not saying do what they do, but it's a plan. So I just wanted to jump on here real quick. Like I said, it's Operation Apartment Fire. I'm trying to work it out, trying to find me a place. So right now, my place is 2020 Buick Boulevard. That's what I told my mother. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to jump on here and talk about that. And I truly want to eventually share my testimony of this fire. And I want to share the exact prayer that I prayed when this testimony is still loading, because I'm still it's unbelievable how God is unfolding this thing. But what I will say is, one of the prayers that I did pray was, I knew when I signed that lease that it wasn't for me to re-sign it. I didn't want to I'm not an apartment girl. I don't like apartments. And when I re-signed the lease, I was just so unsettled. I knew that I had done the wrong thing, but we all know once you sign the lease, it's very hard to get out of a lease. And I started praying a prayer: God, make my mistakes to prosper. Even bless my mistakes. And so I did not know how God was going to do it, but I kept speaking that word every day. And I spoke some other things that I will share with you, like I said, in the real near future. And when I say God worked that thing out, that building is a complete loss. There were 18 units in that building, and not one person got hurt. Not one cat, not one dog, not nobody. Everybody got out of that building and everybody was okay. You know, and so if you ask me, did God burn a whole building down for me? He did. I don't care what nobody say. I'm going to claim that victory. He burnt that building down exactly for me. And I have not missed a beat. So I say that to say, do I have to work on my self-worth daily? I do. I have to worship and praise. I'm in the car doing some things. And right now, Jason Nelson is my song, I Am. So you guys go look it up. And Ty Trippett, All Things New. And so I put that on every day, you know, and that's my mindset. Those are the things that I get in my mind when I'm going. You know, when I was younger, it was Beyonce or whatever, you know, bossing me up or whatever. But now it's not. But it's a daily walk. It's a daily purposeful thing to build your self-worth. You know, and don't let anybody tell you that you're not worth whatever it is that you're doing. So once again, you deserve the best of everything. And I appreciate all you queens that come on here and share and talk and have these conversations, because I'm learning now in my DMs or whatever that these conversations are very much needed. Next week, I promise, I've been talking to God, I'm gonna be settled so I can get my podcast really up and running. We're gonna have some special guests coming in, and we're gonna have some conversations, and we're really gonna talk about some things in depth. But while we're doing this self-worth thing, work on it. I'll put some scriptures on my page, some scriptures that I use. Not that you guys don't know, but I'll put some on that I use, and you guys can share some scriptures that you use as well, and we can build off of each other and make each other great. So with that being said, I'm going to end early. Hey, best friend. Hey, Rhonda Taylor. I'm going to end early tonight because I'm helping my friend do some things or whatever right now. And I said, I got to jump on here and say something because we weren't on last week. My daughter's at home resting. She caught a cold, so she's not feeling her best. So I'm helping my friend do some things right now. But I just wanted to jump on and talk to you ladies about your self-worth, you know, and knowing how important that you are to God and how important that we are to each other. It is your responsibility to be as great as you possibly can, because it depends on my destiny. It depends on how far I make it, because I depend on you and you depend on me. So you deserve the best of everything. Your self-worth is first, right after God. So I love you guys, and I will see you guys next Monday. I promise we'll be ready, me and my daughter, for the podcast. We're going to continue self-worth for the next 2 weeks. I got some really good stuff. I'll post the scriptures on my page. Go to my website, see what we got going on. Start the community. I love you guys so much. Have a good night.